Region of her country beset with extremists was answered with a cowardly attack designed to silence her. These pictures show 14-year-old Malala Yousufzai being carried into a Pakistani hospital in critical condition after she was targeted by Taliban gunmen while riding in her school van on Tuesday. They shot her in the head and neck in an attempt to end her life and stop her crusade for equal rights for girls.
When we were in the van, a boy came in and pointed a gun at us and asked us to be silent.
He asked who was Malala Yousufzai. We pointed towards her. He opened fire and hit her and two of us. Then they ran away.
Malala is now fighting for her life in a Pakistani hospital, but here, shown before the shooting, a very brave young lady. Malala won Pakistan's first National Peace Prize for blogging about her struggle against the Taliban, who have tried to keep girls from attending school.
I have the right of education, I have the right to play, I have the right to sing, I have the right to talk, I have the right to go to market, I have the right to speak up.
It seems many Pakistanis agree with those words. In this Islamabad church, people lit candles and held a vigil, praying for Malala's recovery. A provincial minister has offered a $100,000 reward for the capture of the gunman. In schools across Pakistan, Malala's fellow students say her message has not been silenced.
I was really shocked because she was so ambitious, and like she's the girl which Pakistani girls should look up to.
They're basically afraid of giving women equal rights because they're afraid of what women can do, because they know women can do a lot.
We have same rights as men, and we will stand up for our rights, and we will go out and encourage all girls to study.
I want to introduce you now to Adam Ellick. He's a digital journalist for the New York Times. He spent 6 months filming and in the process becoming friends with Malala and her family. In 2009, he joins us live from our bureau in Boston. In this clip from his documentary titled Class Dismissed, Malala and her father talk about her future around about the time the Taliban shut down her school in the Swat Valley. Take a listen.
I want to become a doctor. It's my own dream, but my father told me that you have to become a politician. But I don't like politics, and
But I see a great potential in my daughter, that she can do more than a doctor. She can create a society where a medical student would be easily able to get her doctorate degree.
bye, class.
Back at her home, Malala's social life is now confined to a courtyard. Her bedroom is a classroom, but she remains hopeful.
They cannot stop me. I will get my education, if it is in home, school, or any place. This is our request to the all world, that save our school, save our world, save our Pakistan, save our Swat.
Adam Ellick, in Class Dismissed, you documented the violence, you documented the stress this family was under, and this little girl. What was your reaction when you heard that there was an assassination attempt?
Well, I was shocked and entirely blown away. I think it's important to remember that when I was in SWAT and from 2009 to 2011, those were the worst of days, and SWAT is relatively safe now. The military more or less won the war against the Taliban in large part. And I think Malala and her father basically thought that they, had prevailed and that the risks they took paid off and they had found their freedom. And I think we were reminded this week that it's not there yet.
Why does the Taliban fear this 14-year-old girl?
It's a complex situation. I mean, it's not really as simple as cowboys and Indians and good guys and bad guys. The Taliban, promote Sharia or Islamic law, and women are restricted in the household, and they have also been propped up by the government over the years and used as a pawn in the geopolitical game in Pakistan. And they are not just threatened by Malala, but they're threatened by lots of forces and also receiving support from other areas. So, you know, this game has been going on for decades.
Does the education of young women specifically threaten the Taliban and those who would use the Taliban?
I think so. I mean, it's important to keep in mind that Malala is one of the most outspoken people in the country, and her father is a sort of unflinching educational activist as well. So, you know, schools have reopened and they're operating now, but Malala and her father continued publicly condemning the Taliban all the time.
They were not
Pakistani press.
I was just going to interject here. You know, how much support does she have, did her cause have from ordinary girls, ordinary parents around the country?
I think that, I mean, she is a known figure, and I think she empowered and emboldened so many young girls in Pakistan. And the more she spoke up, the more influence she had, and the more this infuriated the Taliban.
You met her, you met her family. What's the source of all this spirit that we see in your documentary?
I mean, it's really hard for me to put it into words. It's been a devastating week, and you know, we are sort of wired as journalists to be detached from our sources, but I've been enamored with Malala and her father, who's a dear friend of mine, since the day I met them in January of 2009. And her father is a poet, a historian, a principal, a school owner, and an activist, and a very determined one. And all of this rubs off on Malala, who is charming and unfortunately forced into adulthood prematurely.
What would you tell all of us about this girl? And I'm sure you've spoken to the family this week, have you?
Yeah, I've been in touch with family friends who are in the hospital as recently as this morning, but I haven't spoken directly to the father yet.
And what could you say about what would appear to be, from your documentary, to be an indomitable spirit?
You know, one of the reports says that there was a gun that was literally placed on the tip of Malala's forehead, and the Taliban shot her point blank. And the fact that she is still alive and fighting for her life is remarkable. It just baffles me that we're even in this position now, that she's still hanging on. And her father, Malala, I mean, they're just incredible people, and I feel honored and privileged to have been able to document their life.
Adam Ellick, New York Times documentary filmmaker. I want to thank you, Adam, for being with us and sharing some of your personal experiences with Malala.
Thank you for having me.
Coming